Hello, my name's Miles Reynolds, and I'm the owner of Sport Court Las Vegas. And I'm here today with a special guest, Patty Chess, who I've known for a couple years now, and she has more titles than I can keep up with. So I'm actually going to let her tell you a little bit more about herself and kind of what her role is with pickleball.
Thanks. I'm a pickleball player. That's my number one role. I got into pickleball about 10 years ago, and I got begged to be a USA Pickleball ambassador. So I've been an ambassador for about 5 years. And then from that, being an ambassador, I saw the needs in our community for pickleball. So then we did a nonprofit organization, this whole group of us. And now I'm president of Southern Nevada Pickleball Club, which we're building kid programs, senior programs, adult programs. And then I like teaching, so I decided to get certified, and so I'm an IPTPA certified instructor. So obviously, as an ambassador, I teach people for free to get them in the game, but I also help players get to the next level.
Yeah, I've been here thank you for giving that introduction. And I know it's you've got a lot of different roles, but they all kind of come back to pickleball.
Right.
And so we've been doing pickleball construction in the Valley here for about 17 years. And I didn't even know what it was when we first started building them. And then I caught the pickleball bug. And how I came across you was I live kind of more in the Northwest, and so I would play over at Durango. And what I always remember about you is you were always out there kind of teaching people that were just kind of like, hey, what is pickleball? And always out there with beginners and being so patient, and also a very good pickleball player. So I remember playing with you as well. But yeah, can you tell us a little bit about, the questions we always get asked is, what is pickleball?
So, and you and I talked a little bit about how do you explain pickleball, and I like the analogy of taking a ping pong table, flattening it out onto a court, because you have a paddle similar to a ping pong paddle that's hard, and then you have this little wiffle ball full of holes that you hit with that paddle. Crazy sport. And the scoring's like volleyball, and you hit the ball. A lot of tennis players got into it because it's the same strategy of tennis. Yeah. And the difference is it's really close, so it's a lot more fun, and people they tend to build bonds in playing pickleball, a lot more fun.
Yeah, it makes sense because you're a lot closer together. I know a pickleball court is about like 1/4 the size of a tennis court, so you're a lot more engaged. Right. And I know a lot of people play doubles. It's very similar to how we explain it. I always say it's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids ping pong. So you're standing on a ping pong table and playing a really fast and social game. So
exactly.
So when did you first start playing? Like, when did you come across it?
So I was an avid tennis player, played tennis for 20 years, and my partner and I were by the YMCA by Durango, and you hear this funny sound of a ding, ding, which is the sound of the paddle hitting the ball. And we go, what is that? So we walked over, and we both said, we got to try that. So I tried it, and I got addicted immediately, loved it. And it's just easier. I have 2 knee replacements now, but it's easier on your body. It's still physical. People think, oh, I'll do that. It's a small court. I can do that. You still move, and maybe you move a lot. But anyway, I got into it, and then just loved it and have been in it for the past 10 years.
Oh, that's awesome. You were in it before it was even cool, like the cool sport.
Right. Well, John Sloan, who we call the father of pickleball, he was the first pickleball ambassador. He'll talk about he had to pull people who were walking their dogs by Durango, whatever. He would pull people in to teach them pickleball, to get them excited. Now we have waiting lines to use courts. People got to wait. We got to share the courts because the demand is so high right now. There's not enough pickleball courts for the demand.
Yeah, I go there sometimes like on a Saturday, and you got to wait a long time. Or if you get on the challenge court, as long as you win, you can keep playing. But there's definitely some long wait times.
Exactly.
What do you think has attributed to the growth? Because it's exploded. I think it's been the fastest growing sport for like 5 years now in the country.
Right.
What do you attribute it to?
I say a couple of things. One thing, it's easy to learn. So whether you're 8 years old or 80 years old, it's a sport that once you get the feel, you can learn it. Where tennis, it took a couple of years for me to learn how to hit a ball correctly, put spin, that kind of thing. You can be successful getting it over the net pretty quick. Mm-hmm. it's also such a family sport in that a 10-year-old can compete with grandma or grandpa and be equal because it's not a sport that involves strength. It's learning the contact of the ball, but at different ages. And we've even at Durango had Family Day where we had 5 generations playing with each other all together and competing against another family. Really fun, and you can do that.
That's awesome. And it really resonates with me. I actually got so excited about pickleball that I built one in my backyard. And so I have my 5-year-old daughter, Blakely, who's always saying, Dad, are you going to play pickleball with me? So she wants to play with me all the time, and same with my other kids. And then when my dad comes into town, he's in his late 70s, but we'll go to Durango, and then we'll play together. But you're right, it's definitely a sport for all ages.
Exactly.
What would you say? I feel like sometimes, like, I'll hear people say, I've heard about it from my family relative or a friend. As far as just getting over that barrier, because I think it's hard to just say, hey, I'm going to buy a paddle and I'm just going to show up at a court. Like, what do you think is there something kind of something that can help get over that barrier of just the unknown of how to play or learning the rules?
And are you talking about how they would get in a game how they would get into pickleball? Because if you go to Durango, as you know, you'll see all these players and the ball flying, and you go, I don't belong there.
Yeah,
those
like
guys are too good.
To back it up a little bit, because I think it's intimidating no matter what your age is if you don't know the rules or how to play. So what would you recommend for people out there that just want to like learn the rules and at least just have, feel like they know what they're doing? I know even as adults you don't want to be embarrassed. So what would you recommend?
Exactly. And I had told you, I get text, calls, emails every day of people wanting to get in the game. I don't have a paddle, but I'd like to see if this is for me. I was at Lone Mountain Park the other day, and 2 people on horses came up and asked about pickleball. Hey, we've been wanting to do it. So what we have is Southern Nevada Pickleball actually has a website, which we'll put on the end of the podcast so people can know how to contact us and have an email. But there's 10 ambassadors out there like myself, and that's part of our job, is to teach you the game. And we have extra paddles so we can show you the game. There's places like at the Plaza, Steve Cole, who's a certified instructor, teaches every Saturday morning for free, does a free lesson, provides the paddles. There's lots of options. At Sunset Park, they have a free clinic that's on Sunday afternoons. There's just a lot of choices for people to be able to just see, before they invest in a paddle and a ball, how to get in it.
Yeah, I did some, when I was first starting to get into it, I thought I could just step on a court and I'm like, I can play. And there were people that were much older than me and I was just getting whooped right off the court. And I actually started taking lessons. In fact, I'm going to take a lesson. I text Steve today. I'm like, I need a lesson from you. I'm getting beat up on the challenge court. So it's definitely, I know that, I've done some clinics over at the Plaza, which was really helpful to kind of learn some strategies and the rules. What about as far as like places to play? Like how would, if you were either visiting Vegas or you just want to know where you can play, like where would you go to find all that?
So again, love Google, love the internet, but we have a Southern Nevada Pickleball has a website, plus USA Pickleball has a website, and it specifically is places to the number 2 play. And it'll list which ones are public, which ones are private, and how they operate. We really want to get our website good enough that, like, if I'm new to play, I know where the new players are playing. I know where the advanced players are playing, and so it's easier to know what to do. I could tell you right now, Thursday mornings, 8 a.m. at Lone Mountain Pickleball Courts, that's where new players congregate at 8 a.m. And I always tell them, come meet me there at 8 a.m. on Thursday, because that's where the people that are all getting into pickleball.
Yeah. How about for kids? I know a lot of my boy is like, he's 7 years old. His name's Cruz. And I think it was about a year ago, he's like, Dad, sign me up for 6-year-old pickleball. And I'm like, I don't know where to sign you up for, as a kid. So what's your insight there? Because I know you're very passionate about getting the game to younger kids.
And what's so exciting is school district is talking to us now, and they want to start getting pickleball in their schools. we have a kid his name is Jack Pickleball. That's what we call him. He's 8 years old, and he is already being sponsored by a company. He lives here in Las Vegas in our northwest side.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever
Does he
saw
play
him at Durango.
I've seen him. He comes out there with his coach.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. He's got all the character of pickleball, but that he kind of exemplifies that you can be young and get good fast. And so he likes to have challenge me. He calls, "Hey Patty, come here, I want to challenge you."
Yeah.
So he's just got a lot of spunk. But the City Parks and Rec have a pickleball league going on right now. And Jason Dyer, who runs the league, is if a kid comes and says, "I want to be play in the league," and the league's already started, he still gets them in on some level as a substitute, get to the free clinics or whatever they can do to get kids into pickleball. They have about 75 kids right now playing league.
Yeah.
And they play on teams with groups of kids, so they sub during the games. It's really a neat thing to watch.
I played in one season. Well, I actually got an injury, so I played a partial season with the adult leagues with the city, and that was awesome. And I know they would rotate. You'd rotate partners. Is it similar for the kids?
It's different for the kids.
Okay.
So they actually are on a team of 4 or 5 kids.
Okay.
And so during the game, halfway through, they go, "Okay, it's time, switch," and they rotate the kids. And they play best 2 out of 3. They have the funnest team names. They had Double Trouble, 2 sets of twins. They have Baby's Got Backhand. They come up with the funnest names. These kids are just really have a neat attitude. But they play each other, and their sportsmanship is like any sport I've never seen. Soccer is aggressive.
Yeah.
If the other team misses a serve, they go, "Nice try." They have such a good attitude. It's just neat to see. So I reffed a game last night, and this one team just pulverized the other team. And after they finished the games, they go, "You guys have a time to stay, and we'll switch teams, and I'll be on your team, and let's break it up and make it fair." And they wanted to play more and help each other. I mean, the attitude is just amazing.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And it's fun. I was even just last night playing with my son, and what we did is we went out on our court and we're like, "Hey, how many can we hit in a row?" And we would just say, "Oh, we got a new world record. We hit 20." So I think
Awesome.
anytime you can get out, and what I've loved about it, especially with my kids, is it's getting them off Xbox
Video,
and
yes.
video and the electronics, and really it actually reminds me kind of like my childhood growing up. We were always just playing sports, always outside. I was going to ask you though, as far as with Vegas, right? And obviously with any growing sport, there's always challenges. What would you say the biggest challenges are to maybe if you could wave a magic wand and have everything you wanted, what would it be?
More pickleball courts is what flies at me right away.
Yeah.
It's hard because I know the city was trying to build a big complex, and it got kind of messed up in the works of politics.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just not enough courts to do all the things we could do that would make it better and make there's seniors time. It's competition for courts, and so you want to have courts that during this time would be time where seniors can play with seniors, where kids can play with kids, where have the time for adult league, have clinics, have more structured times. And we're just right now they can't do that because there's just not enough courts to do that. And that's what I would do. If I were rich, I'd build the courts.
Yeah.
We do have exciting things like Chicken and Pickle are coming.
Yeah.
Henderson is building a complex right by the IKEA out there. It's going to electric pickleball. So there are things happening. It's just on our side of town, and there's places like in the southeast where there aren't courts or there's 2 courts, and you really need a lot of courts, and they don't always understand that people want to rotate. You just don't have 4 people sitting there sharing a court like tennis. It's very different.
Yeah, it is a different dynamic, and I've noticed it because just like tennis, right, there's different levels of play. So you have different age groups, you have different levels,
Right.
and and trying to accommodate all those people that are wanting to play. And I can say from our perspective, being in the sports construction business, I mean, it's been blowing up at the seams. I mean, everybody wants pickleball. New communities, restaurants. I mean, every backyard. They all want pickleball.
Right.
And I think you're right. As far as it's hard to get. You need the funds, and it's hard to get maybe sometimes the play that you want to.
Right. And for our politicians to understand why people are saying, hey, we need more courts and we need a group of them, not just 2 courts like tennis, to really understand the need. Communicating that's part of what Southern Nevada Pickleball is trying to do. We're trying to be the voice to say this is why we're asking for what we are.
Yeah, I know we've even been talking about how we can support maybe what your efforts are with Southern Nevada Pickleball and maybe even with the school, right? As far as, because it really doesn't take a whole lot, right? I mean, as far as there's some big nice fancy courts that have fencing and lighting and the nice surfacing. But what do you really need to be able to just play? Like even for like kids at schools, what do you need?
And I had talked to you. It's funny, and I'll admit this on this podcast about we had a conversation about you warned me about paint on asphalt. So a week ago, and this is all volunteers. That's what Southern Nevada Pickleball got some volunteers together. We're going to paint the lines on an asphalt court. And really quick, we learned that if you don't do the right paint, it doesn't work. So we spent hours wasting our time not having the right paint. And it takes, honestly, Miles, people like you who come up to me and go, look, I'll make sure you get the right paint. It's sponsors that are going to make things happen to make it happen, schools. Because now we have people go, I want this at my school. I can do this, but they don't have the funds to make it happen. And so that's how we operate, is getting people to jump up and help.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think that's what's the beauty of pickleball, right? You could take a parking lot, you could take an unused part of a playground at a school, and literally just stripe lines and get a portable pickleball net, right? And I think you're working with someone that's even kind of helping you guys, like supporting you to kind of accomplish that, right? As far as like getting nets and paddles and things like that.
So the PPA, which is a pro organization, is having a giant tournament here in Vegas next week. And at this tournament, the day before, they are sponsoring a school. They're having 2 of the pickleball pros in the nation come and teach a group of 40 kids pickleball, and they're going to leave them all with paddles, nets, and ball, everything they need to do pickleball. So Southern Nevada Pickleball, and with your help, are going to be lining the courts for them, and they're going to get pickleball started at a school. The schools all submitted that they wanted to have it, and it's a lottery. They could only do one school now.
Yeah.
We obviously would like every school in Clark County to have pickleball.
No, that's
our goal.
awesome.
That's one of our goals.
Yeah, I know that's a huge. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about the PPA event then, and the dates and a little bit more about that?
Yes, and we're going to also, I think, have it written at the end of this podcast, but it's the 6th through the 9th of October, so next week. It's at the Stacy Darling Tennis Center, which is right, I think, at Washington near Buffalo. Mm-hmm. And they actually take their tennis center and build pickleball courts on all the tennis courts. I was there last year. It's just really exciting because I consider myself a pretty good player, but you watch those pros and you're just like amazed. It's just a really fun event. They have booths, and it's just a fun dynamic to watch. Yeah. So
it's awesome. And they have like the stadium courts. I know they usually have like the championship games, like in the, where you can sit in the stadium seating. I actually played in it last year.
Did you?
I don't remember much other than losing pretty quickly. But it was, but I really got the sense. I remember like Ben Johns was out there, and I really, I had my kids stand in front of the fence, and I'm, snapping a picture. I'm like, I got Ben in the background. But, you really get a sense, there's obviously other tournaments that are out there, but I think when you go to an actual like sanctioned tournament and you see the pros and you see, but it's fun because it's a mix, because you have pros, but then you also have
the
amateurs, and you're all kind of playing in one big event.
Exactly. And amateurs, they do have beginning players, and that's the next step for a beginning player, is maybe that there's leagues they could play in, but they also doing a tournament. They actually make tournaments for beginners. So you play, when you do a tournament, you play at your level, and usually you get a free t-shirt out of it. You get to play different players. I always leave a tournament going, all right, I'm going to be working on my drop shot or this. It's the best teacher to find out what part of your game you want to build.
Yeah.
And you meet some incredible people because people travel from all over to do a tournament, to come to Vegas. Like this PPA tournament, there'll be people from Hawaii, all over, Florida. All kinds of places.
It definitely helps, right, that Vegas is a destination spot, right? So it's like if they can do a 2-for-1, we get calls all the time where people are like, hey, we're going to be in Vegas. Like, where's the, same thing, where's there places to play?
Exactly.
And so when you can kind of have a destination like Vegas and be able to do a really fun tournament, it makes it all the more worth it. I know one thing that we're excited about with Sport Court is actually, Sport Court is now, we've actually partnered with the PPA, and we actually have a surface that is actually the official portable surface of the PPA.
Nice.
And so we've already had it at some of the other PPA events in the country, and we're going to have like one of our demo courts out there.
Excellent.
So I believe it's
can come
October.
play it?
Yeah, we can
Which
come
date
play.
is it gonna be?
We're going to be there through the whole weekend.
are you?
And I
So
know
we'll
it's
be there the-
October 5th through or 6th,
Sixth.
October 6th through the 9th.
Right, so
And
you'll have it
we'll have a
every day.
demo court out there. We'll have games
Nice.
and prizes, and you can kind of come out there and hit on it. And we're really excited about it because just like tennis, right? Tennis has multiple different surfaces: grass, clay. A lot of people like the hard court acrylic. What a lot of people have loved about the modular surface is it's easier on the knees and ankles. You can play longer, less injury. And then I do have some pickleball friends that are like, it's not what the pros play on. And I'm like, well, the pros are 20,
Right.
Like I want to play longer and not be hurting for the next couple days. So we're really excited to be able to kind of have, just a lot of people out and be able to have them get on and hit on it.
I'll be there.
yeah.
I want to do that. No, because I do. I told you before, I have metal knees. I'm able to move pretty good, but to have a court where I'm not, because at most courts are concrete and they're
Yes.
hard.
Yeah.
And so you do feel it. So
Yeah,
that's great to hear you have that.
And what's unique about it is you think about concrete, right? Concrete is basically acrylic paint. It's just painted concrete. I mean, even the street in front of your house is softer. Asphalt is softer than concrete. So the fact that you can play on it, and Sport Court engineered it to have a very similar bounce to what acrylic is. So you still get that true bounce on it, but kind of with all the added, easier on the body and not hurting and icing your knees for the next couple days. So
I love it.
So
Love it.
so we're really excited about that. And then I know we had talked about another tournament. Do you mind kind of telling
And
us a little bit more
especially
about?
that you tell me you'll bring Sport Court to this
Yes,
tournament.
we wanna
That's
bring it to that as
You've
well.
said it now.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
got it videoed. So that's the Heroes Open. And what's cool about this tournament, it's going to be at Sunset Park, and it is November 10th through the 13th. But it is also a charity tournament. So it's kind of like Vegas community coming together. So it's first responders. It's police, firefighter, and Southern Nevada pickleball veterans. And so anybody can play in this tournament, but all the extra monies raised go to different funds, like for the firefighters, the rescue funds for people that are burn victims. For police, it's the families who lost, of the officers that were lost. It's, for Southern Nevada Pickleball, it's for the veterans and the programs they do to help veterans. So it's all a good cause, and you get to have fun pickleball.
Yeah.
So that's a win-win
Yeah.
situation. Love it.
Playing for a good cause.
Yeah.
I like it.
It doesn't get
Any
better than
excuse
that.
that I have to play pickleball. My kids ask me sometimes, they say, Dad, do you love pickleball more than us? I'm like, come on, don't put me on the spot.
Really, don't make me answer that
Don't
one.
make me answer. It depends on the
I'm
day.
addicted.
But I
Addicted.
love it. Definitely caught the bug.
Exactly. And I think a lot of players, why I like teaching new players and being an ambassador, I remember when I caught the bug. I mean, played it and knew immediately I'm addicted. And to see those players get that big smile and go, oh, I love this. This
Yeah.
is fun, and want more. And when can we play next? That is what drives me. I just love that energy at any age, from the young ones, you see these little 3-year-olds trying to hit this ball over the net, to the 85-year-old. It's the same glow.
Yeah. So what, I know, and I totally resonate with that. In fact, every time I leave the courts in the morning, or I'll leave Durango, I'll have a few players. I'll always have remarks like, "Hey, Miles, when you're retired, you can play all day." And I'm like, "Don't rub it in, I'd rather stay." But then it's not too bad for me because I got to go talk with people about pickleball and putting them in their communities or their backyards. So it's pretty awesome.
It is nice. No, I have been talking to my community about that too, because we have the doggy park in my community, and I go, we can have a doggy place and we can have a pickleball court. It's perfect right across. It happens to be across the street from where my house is.
Yeah.
So I just got to talk them into it, Miles.
Oh yeah.
I'm there if you're available.
Yeah. No, we're always available. Yeah, I think it is. It's definitely something. There's really no, from what we see, there's really no end in sight. In fact, I've heard, currently there's about 5 million people playing, and I've heard in the near future, they're projecting like 30 million people playing.
Exactly. An Olympic sport, they're already saying not this next Olympic, but the following. They expect it to be an Olympic sport. We got colleges calling us wanting to see about getting pickleball in college. So with this generation, these young kids who are doing league right now, they may be getting college scholarships for not tennis, but for pickleball.
Yeah. That's
so
awesome.
it is. It's really, really is exciting. Definitely.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to kind of say to anybody else, anybody that's considering playing, or, maybe, just maybe on the fence, or because I think the biggest thing that I hear from people is, I've heard about it, I just don't know what it is, right? So obviously, we've talked a little bit about what it is, but what do you think it is that kind of gets people catching the bug?
I can tell you that we could put people that I've taught pickleball to have testimonials about how pickleball changed their life, the health benefit, the loss of weight that you do. You don't realize it's just a little court, but the exercise, people who've gotten off medications, blood pressure, et cetera, because it's been so good. The emotional support. When you play pickleball and you keep, like, we know each other from Durango, the friendships you get are lifelong, and then you start having, like, this last Saturday I was invited to a pickleball party. The group goes, "Hey, let's go, let's have a barbecue." You build relationships, and I'm at the age where people are losing their spouses, and the pickleball community is what holds them together. It's what gives them a reason. The very next day they're out on the court and going, I'm at a hard time, but I need to keep playing pickleball. It's what's going to sustain me.
Yeah, I mean, we noticed as a company, right? We noticed a huge surge with COVID, and I think the beauty of sport is that human connection, right?
Yes.
That we get to connect. That we all long for it, and I think after we kind of came, that things were starting to open up a little bit more. I mean, it was unbelievable. Like, in fact, I was kind of feeling bad for myself the other day because my wife went on a girls' trip, and I said, "Honey," I'm like, "I don't know how many like really super close friends I have, like that I hang out with on a regular basis." And then I sat there and I'm like, "Oh, never mind. I have all my pickleball friends."
Exactly.
And then I quit feeling bad for myself. But you're right. It is not just a game, but it literally is. The community here is. I mean, everywhere I go, I see. I mean, I call them friends. I mean, I get to be around them and play with them. Play on the court, and then we hang out later. But it's so social.
Exactly. We did have one of our players had a heart attack on the court, and it was the player. He lives alone. Had that not happened there, he wouldn't be alive today. And he's doing amazing now. But it was the players. He had no family here. He has no family out of state. We're his family, and we're the ones who were in the hospital. We were the ones who making sure he's okay. And he's back to pickleball now.
Yeah.
But it really shows how important that is for the community. How pickleball saves lives.
Right when we were talking about community and how it's that's exactly who I thought about. And I don't mind sharing his first name. It was Howie, right?
Yeah.
And I remember when that happened, and I believe one of the other players was a
Paramedic. Yeah,
right? He was on the court,
fire.
And then it was a big celebration. It was like when he came back, and
we had a party.
Had a big party to play,
Yeah.
to have him play. And I know he has this famous line. What is it? All night? Or something
Not
like,
tonight.
Not tonight.
Yes.
I've had many times I've played against Howie, and he'll score on me, and he'll say, "Not tonight."
Exactly. That kind of bond.
Yeah.
We all have our personalities for sure.
That was definitely, that's a perfect example of how it's like, it's more than just a sport. I mean, it's
Exactly.
connection. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited about what we can do as far as like for, especially with the younger people and kids and the
Yes.
schools. So yeah, when we talked about doing this podcast today, I thought you were the first person I thought about.
I appreciate that. And if people want to donate, we're going to send the website because we're going to make good things happen,
Yeah,
for pickleball.
yeah. Do you mind
So,
sharing that? Like, how can like local businesses or individuals like help support and grow
Yes.
the game here in Southern Nevada?
yeah, they can do monetary support. They can support with paddles and equipment. There's so many projects. If they want a certain area, they want to help with kids, they want to help with vets, they just need to say that this is where we want to help and contact us, Southern Nevada Pickleball, and we'll guide them in the way to make pickleball great.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and I love playing with you, but also being able to sit and have a conversation with you.
Yeah, we'll do great things together,
Yes,
right?
yes.
All right.